Welcome to the Podawan podcast. I'm co-host Steve alongside co-host Ollie, aka the Podawans. And for you today, we're giving you the Rise of Skywalker review, reaction, everything you need to know about Rise of Skywalker. Coming in hot. Welcome, Podawans, to another episode of the Padawan Podcast. And today we're talking about the Rise of Skywalker. We have a huge review. I'm here with Ollie today. My camera at home wasn't working, so we got together in the studio. Plus, this is a really big episode, so we got a lot to discuss. There was a lot of reactions this week. There's a lot of critiques. There's a lot to discuss. So first thing, I guess we'll just dive right into our review and maybe initial impressions, what we thought overall, higher level. So Ollie, if you want to kick that off.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. We're gonna see it today. I'm gonna see it today again. I'm not comfortable yet ranking it. Every time I see one, it's my favorite at the time. You know what I mean? Just because it's new and stuff like this. And we had a long conversation about which we'll get into, just kind of like the old trilogy and the prequels, and just like the timing and just the years they come out have different effects. So like the movie may be better, but if this one feels better because of stuff like that. So but yeah, I really like it. I think I can confidently say that I like this one the best of the sequel trilogy. I like Force Awakens, and I still like Last Jedi overall because it's a Star Wars movie, but it's not obviously not my favorite Star Wars movie. But I think this one, I think I can confidently say this one will rank higher on both those. You know, I'm not sure how it stacks up against the sequels and the prequels and the original, but
I'd agree.
I think this one. So higher level. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I think for me it will be infinitely rewatchable compared to The Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Because even though I really like The Force Awakens and I didn't hate The Last Jedi, I still find those now tough to get through because I just felt like there's only small pockets of action. Yeah. Whereas this one was like, I feel like I could watch this and know exactly what's going to happen.
Right from the beginning, you're thrown into something.
Yeah, so I mean, that's my higher level thing is I love it, and I think I'll be able to rewatch it a lot. And I think those things like the callbacks that a lot of people are going to get into, and we'll get into them, but a lot of the callbacks over time will just kind of, a lot of initial critiques, I think a lot of times kind of mesh in as it gets older and ages, because it starts to make sense. It doesn't feel as forced once you're away from it.
You kind of like you mull on from like a first reaction where you kind of are just like, holy shit, that was awesome, and then it's like, all right, actually that part, I don't know what I thought. That's what starts to happen.
Yeah. Simply, I loved it. I'm gonna see it again today, so I'll have a better feeling once I see it 2 or 3 times how I really feel. Yep. But yeah, I had a blast. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Easily the best one of the trilogy. I definitely, like you were saying, like rewatchability. I could definitely watch this one over and over again. The action for me, I loved all the saber battles, all the ship battles. By the way, this is spoilers, so just a heads up. So if you're watching this,
the review is spoiler.
This is all spoiler review. We're not dancing around anything. So. So between the lightsaber battles, the ship battles, and everything in between, there was a lot that I really enjoyed. Obviously, thinking about more, there was more. There's definitely questions and stuff we can discuss, but overall as a movie, I would definitely say best of this trilogy. The scenery was the visually it was awesome.
They just keep getting better.
My God, it's not even like even just seeing the final order just coming out from the planet and just that shot, holy, and that feeling of like doom that you're like, holy shit, look at this fleet, like it just visually just looks amazing.
It's become such a thing, and I know this is overall graphics, not just Star Wars, but like the size and scale of things now just feels so much more real. Like even Christy said it this time, because I've said it a bunch about Rogue One, how that those battles in space just felt real. So amazing. And she's like, this one was the first one that she's like, I noticed. Like some of these ships felt like, she was like, and then she mentioned when they came out of the eye or whatever, she's like, it felt massive. Like it felt overwhelming. And I was like, yeah, that's just, and quite simply, I would love to experience the original trilogy like exactly how it is, but just with these graphics. I know it's impossible to do, but like just to get that sense of scale like we got now. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
That kind of plays to the original trilogy though, because you at the
time
shows
it was
how,
the best.
Yeah, well, it just shows it still carries. You can still watch that today. Like as a fan, like if you truly like I mean, obviously if you like Star Wars, you probably like the originals. How that like translates till today? That came out over 40. New Hope came out 42 years ago, and still watching that movie with the shit that they had to deal with, it still is a phenomenal movie for the time that it was created in. So it's just,
but it has come. It's incredible.
I mean, it's so, it's like, it's not even close.
And I feel funny talking about like, oh, it looks so real, like real life, and it's like, well, it's Star Wars, so it's not even close to real life. But the scale of it feels what it's not
like it's not like the Death Star, like when they blow it up, it's we're gonna make a little firework right here, and it's just gonna blow up.
Like just simply the Corellian Corvette taking off the planet that the rebels are on. I don't know that they ever said exactly what that was. I always thought it was the Yavin, but that just taking off over the trees feels so.
Yeah, what's
so big?
Say? That's a good one.
I don't think they ever said it.
Oh.
So
okay,
I don't know. I could be wrong. I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch it today.
I don't remember.
I think I'm gonna take notes.
Oh, good God!
Because you know what? Since doing this and doing the Mandalorian reviews, the thing that I've noticed now, this is the first time we've done anything other than the Mandalorian, like that's come out. You know what I mean?
Well, you gonna bring a nightlight with your?
No. I'm just saying that when I can watch the Mandalorian and do those reviews, like my species review and stuff like that, I watch it without pausing it the first time through to experience it. But then I can immediately go back and go, oh shit, what was that part? And I can go and look at that part and see if they said something, or I can
someone's probably pirate, like they
No, I know, but it's like it is tougher this way. I mean, we won't have that ability really until when do they come out? 4 months? 5 months?
3 months.
3 months? Okay,
Yeah,
but still, like
days.
I want to do it now. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, you can.
But it is what it is. So.
Just
do you want to start hopping in? Where do you want to go from here? You want to go into nitpicks, or do you want to just
nitpicks? I mean,
criticism. Sorry.
Oh no, we can. I mean, we can talk about what we. I mean,
what was your favorite part? Like what
my favorite part?
Killed it. If you could narrow it down to like a part.
My favorite part was probably, I think, leading up to Ben's redemption.
Leading up to it, so them fighting on the Death Star.
Fighting on the Death Star. I think that moment between her finding the Sith Wayfinder all the way down to when she stabs Ben and then Leia
so when
dies.
He crushes it and makes her have to go with him kind of thing, and that whole thing. Did you like her little Luke moment in the like when she sees herself dark gray, like her little cave moment?
So you want to talk about like obviously I don't like Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That was okay to me. That's
what was okay.
Well, her throwing the lightsaber and like.
Oh no, I meant. No, that's fine. I'm saying when she was in Palpatine's throne room and has her dark Luke moment, like when Luke went into the cave and saw Vader, and she went in and fought herself, the dark Ray, like that was right before.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, then that at that point, I was thinking like, oh shit, she really is a clone. Like maybe because
for a second there,
because like from the very beginning, you have that like. First off, we're trying to wonder who she is. You know, the last name and stuff. And then it's kind of alluded to, or they kind of say she's a Palpatine at this point. I think at this point she's already... Yeah, at this point she's already
because they had seen... He told her on Kajimi.
Which...
so it was right before that.
Yeah, so...
So she knows.
She knows, but like... But it's not 100% though, because you're like, oh, they might be just fucking with her. Just so they...
I took it as 100% at that point.
I didn't at that point, because I was like, you know what, they might be taking her to the throne room. Gotcha. Like, that's their way of like... Oh, you're a Palpatine, so you got manipulating her.
Okay.
So I didn't take it there until when he finally fucking said like, "Oh, you're my granddaughter." I'm like, "Oh God, okay." So when I saw the Dark Ray, I thought it was like, okay, maybe the cloning thing is an actual, like, this is actually
right
theory coming true. But yeah,
that scene basically.
That scene all the way down to when Leia dies and Ben sees Han.
Yeah.
That whole like 20 minutes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Emotional. I can't talk right now. And
Finn was mixed in there too.
Finn was mixed in.
Yeah.
And you gotta give him give J.J. Abrams credit on that. They finally fucking did something with his character.
Yeah, so he's force sensitive. Did you hear the?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got it from the movie. I wasn't positive, but it sounded like it. But JJ kind of confirmed it after.
Yeah.
Oh no, just simply that like Finn says a couple times that could feel it. In other words, like the force. Like, how did you know this happened? And he said it, but then
he was like, "Ray, I gotta tell you something."
Right. So then I'm saying in the movie, I didn't think that was him trying to say force sensitive. I thought he was going to say he loves her or something like that. But throughout the movie, a couple times he says like, "Oh, I can just sense it. I think I have a feeling."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I guess he's like a little bit at least force sensitive." And then someone interviewed JJ and was asking what Finn wanted to say because he never says it. And JJ said basically that he's force sensitive. So he confirmed
like a cut scene?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think he said it was a cut scene. I think he just said that that's what he was trying to say. And he thought there's a lot of stuff like that in movies that some people get from implication. Like it's just implied and you pick it up. Yeah. And so I think he put it in there to be implied that he's force sensitive. So he was just answering the question. So, but all it does is it confirms it. I mean, Finn literally says, I can sense it. So I mean, he does say.
Well, you want to know the best part about that whole deal? So you go through all three movies. Yeah. You're thinking Finn and Rey have something there, that they're romantically involved.
Maybe eventually, like down the road, in books and stuff like that.
They
got rid of Rose. They kicked Rose to the side.
Yes.
I was thinking that the whole.
Oh my god, I loved it. I was like, thank fucking god, I don't have to listen to her shit. The whole movie.
Poor Rose.
What? I just don't like her character. There was nothing like I didn't like in Last Jedi. And
we know. We're well aware of your
all
hatred for Rose.
I like how they tapered it down. They
tapered it down. They basically cut her from the movie.
I think that it's either it must have been blatant. It probably had to do with the fan reaction to her character throughout Last Jedi and everything. I'm guessing at that. I don't know. That's speculative.
I would guess it's probably more that JJ had something in mind for a relationship for Finn, and so he just tried to back it off from the Rose thing. I don't think JJ Abrams has anything against Rose's character. I just think probably he wrote the first one, so even though he didn't write the through line, he thought of like what he imagined in his head was going to happen. Right. So you set those things up for the characters. So then when he got 9, there was no confirmation that Finn had any feelings really for Rose, other than he cares about her, but like love feel, like romantic feelings. So I think JJ just probably already had something in his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't link up anybody. Poe didn't get to kiss Kerry Russell's character.
What?
I'm saying like he left pretty much
everyone else.
I'm saying he left everything wide open. Really, Poe didn't get with Zori Bliss, right?
I bet you they do though. That
Finn
one I
didn't get with like Jana or Rose or Rey at the end. Rey, I mean, kissed Kylo and then he died. So or Ben and then he died. So,
yeah, but then
so
like,
no one's with anyone.
But I've asked people about like the Ben Rey thing that have already seen it, and everyone said like, oh yeah, you could definitely tell there was like sexual tension there and stuff. And it's like, wait a second.
But he's dead. So who cares?
I know. I'm just saying. Oh yeah. So you're just gonna like
on
to the next like. That's not the Star Wars way. Unless you're Lando, and then you're like, hey, give Leia my love.
I'm not saying immediately. I'm just saying that no one at the end of the movie is like Leia and Han in the old trilogy. Like, no one's linked. They're not in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't connect anyone. Like, in other words, if there's a canon book that happens 2 years in the future, like, they could all still be just friends. There's no... I don't know. All I'm saying is he didn't set anything up for the future. Like, none of them had, like...
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm all about Rilo. That was fine. Raylo, whatever. Raylo.
Yeah, no. I think they did a good job with that. But so that was your favorite scene from in that context.
That 20 minutes because you see a lot. I mean, you probably see the deepest moments for Ben at that, like, coming back, like,
right
at this point we were kind of thinking like, all right, he's gonna be fucking. I mean, I don't know about you. I thought like, all right, if he doesn't turn the light soon, he's gonna be. They're gonna do away with this character somehow.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I didn't think it would happen like that, but I did. I went in.
A good way that happened.
Yeah, I went in with the 100% expectation that Ben was going to be redeemed and die saving Rey. I thought it was going to be more. He's still like Kylo and just makes a sacrifice like right at the end. Yeah. So it's almost like Vader, like he turns right at the end.
But that would have been too. That would have been too.
Yeah. So I did like it. I liked it more than what I had in my mind. Let's put it that way. But but basically the through line of him being redeemed and saving Rey and dying. Yeah. Was exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
They just did it more creatively. That's why I don't write these movies. Thank God.
Yeah. So what was your favorite? What was your favorite scene?
So mine's gonna be like a laughable.
Oh God.
No, just more of like a because there's so many good scenes in the movie in terms of like action and stuff like that. But my favorite scene, just because it linked up for me, like fanboy wise, is like my biggest thing in Star Wars is like Jedi and lightsabers. That's like my favorite. Like if there's one pure thing, like I love the whole thing, but like lightsabers are just fascinating. I think they're so cool. And you're going to laugh because you remember this, but we got that game before the prequels came out called Jedi Power Battles, and they had like Mace Windu, Ada Igalia, Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon, I think, were the Jedi you could pick. And I always picked Plo Koon because he was kind of a weird-looking guy, and he had a yellow lightsaber. Yeah. And so ever since then, in any game I played, and there haven't been like a ton of games, but like KOTOR, in Fallen Order.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, sorry. Fallen Order recently. I always, if I could.
Did you play Force Unleashed too?
I didn't. No.
Yeah. There's a lot of. Well, yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, keep going.
So anyway, I've always done the yellow lightsaber. I've always thought that was super cool. The only time it's actually shown up in canon since Fallen Order, because that just came out, was the Temple Guard had yellow lightsabers in the Clone Wars, which is cool. That last scene of her igniting the lightsaber. It very clearly looks like she made it from the top of her staff, which people are predicting forever, which is really cool. It's yellow. It has this really neat, when it comes open, if you watch it the next time, it looks flat. It seems like it's flat, and once you ignites it, it looks like the top springs out a little bit. Yeah. So it has like an action to it. And the yellow in live action, I thought looked awesome. And that combined with, I think, I know this, I'm not sure if you loved it. I think you said you didn't like it, but I enjoyed the story beat of her then getting, even though it's like obviously set up movie-wise, like there's a random person in the desert that's like, who are you? It's all set up. But I liked that she took the Skywalker name, especially since the movie was called Rise of Skywalker, because I'll explain later when we get into like what we thought the overall thing was. But I thought the Skywalker's ending like that, and then her taking on the name, kind of the mantle, I thought was really neat. So that was my favorite part. That was I dug that thing, and it's more like the yellow lightsaber just kills me because that is my favorite thing. So I love that. Yeah,
I think so. That's I did love the saber thing.
Yeah,
it's just that part. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay. It's just I think from like a. This trilogy's been through so much shit that like seeing that, it felt, even when the ships came back in from the battle, I felt like that was like you're like from defeating the Final Order. Okay. Like everyone celebrating and stuff. Like it felt like A New Hope 2.0 on that.
A New Hope 2.0.
That portion, like them all celebrating and stuff, like it didn't seem different to me. It was like the kind of the same.
Yeah, those are the things that I just don't understand. I don't, for me, it's such an interesting, it's your opinion. I get it. Like, I get that you felt that, and I'm like almost bummed that you feel that because like they just won a war. What are they going to do? I don't understand how, but like, there's a lot of these complaints. You won't make a bunch of them, but a lot of these people that complain about stuff is just like, they'll be like, oh, we've seen that before. It's like, what do you, not this one, I'm saying, but a lot of the other complaints are just like you're just complaining to complain. Like it just seems so odd to me. Like what did you think would, if you just saved the universe, what is going to happen? You know what I mean? How is it going to
nothing,
be different?
Yeah, and what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, for me, I was a little bit, like, I love just seeing new stuff as well. Like,
right, but so I guess my question is, what can happen there?
I don't know.
Somewhere else. What do you mean? Like what?
Like where the ending could be. Like, instead, like, does it have to end at Tatooine?
Oh, I thought you meant the celebrating on...
Well, that too,
like,
though.
Yavin. So we've never had a celebration on Yavin, or whatever planet that is.
It just felt...
Like the Ewoks place? Is that what you're saying? Like, it felt like Return of the Jedi?
No, A New Hope. It felt like A New Hope after they blow up the Death Star.
Oh. In the hangar bay before they get the medals? Is that what you're saying?
Was it A New Hope that I'm thinking of? Or maybe I am thinking of Return of the Jedi.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm off
like
based
you
on
feel
that.
like that when you're...
It just felt nostalgic.
Like that when you're watching the movie?
Or maybe I'm thinking Force Awakens, actually. It might be that.
I don't know.
I'm trying to...
But, so when you're watching... I guess my question is this. When you're watching the movie, does that take you out of it? You're watching it going, we've already seen this? Or you're saying afterwards you were like, oh, that kind of was the same thing. Like, I guess that's my question. Okay.
Not during.
So that's not a big deal.
No.
I'm bummed for the people who say, like, it takes them out of the movie watching it. And it's like, dude, just watch the movie.
If I got through 2 hours and 10 minutes of the movie...
I'm not so much you. I'm saying, like...
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, these people, like, critique everything, and you're like, do you watch the movie for enjoyment, or are you there like this? Like, that scene sucked. Yeah. I've seen this before. Like, how did... Go away. Like... you know what I mean?
Like, yeah. No, I'm not in that camp. It's more to me, like... he was obviously he's playing the nostalgia card with everything a lot. I mean, the very end is nostalgia and a half. Yeah. I mean, the lights, it was different, but you see Leia and Luke looking on at the suns and stuff. It's kind of like, okay, we have kind of seen that before, but I don't. But then again, as I'm saying, like, I was kind of like about it. Like, I didn't really like seeing it again. At the same time, what else would you do? I mean, that. Something new, like I don't, and like at first I thought she went back to Jakku for a second. And I was like, oh wow, she's going like kind of like let's go back to the place that we first started. Yeah, and then it was like, oh, you see the Jawas, the motherfuckers. They're just like you hear you see the sand crawler. So then like I was like, oh okay, she's at Tatooine. Yeah. Or how sick would have that been if she went to what place is Queel from? Queel.
Arvala 7. Yeah, but
imagine it would just would have been completely like interesting, but like it ties back to the Mandalorian somehow. It's the same planet, but like I don't know. But it's a good scene.
So I will say that I think the main complaint has been that it's too people think it's forced with the nostalgia. And there was a lot. To the point where I understand that, like, maybe some of them were, like, throw-ins. But I will say to me, wrapping up a trilogy of trilogies. Yeah. I think it was fun. Again, I think this is the part of the difference, right? Like, for me, I'm watching it as just a huge Star Wars fan, and I'm loving every second, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, when there's, like, these little beats of nostalgia that come in or callbacks, even though there were a lot of them, my brain is enjoying them and going, from there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, but I think what happens is so many people, like these people who just watch it to want to critique it, they're just watching it going, forced. Right? Am I wrong? Like, and it just, I get it. It ruins it. It would ruin it for me if that's how I was thinking about it. And here's the problem. And a lot of those people won't admit it. And I think the fan score was cool to see.
You have fucking history behind this whole movie franchise.
There's literally, like we were talking about, there's no way to win in Star Wars. Like you make Last Jedi, it's way out there. Doesn't look like any other. Doesn't feel like any other Star Wars movie. Even as a person who's okay with it, it doesn't feel like I get it. It feels different, right? But critic review on Rotten Tomato, really good. User score, like the people hate terrible, right? And so it was like this weird thing of like, okay, they went a different direction, which a lot of people were asking for them to like be original. He went original, everyone hates it, but the critics liked it because it was a better movie. And then you go to this one, it's like the exact opposite. It's like the critics threw a fit. Oh my god, this movie's terrible. Like everything's bad about it. It's the worst movie ever. And then all the user scores, We love it.
Yeah.
That was Star Wars. And it's like, you just can't, like, I feel bad for these. You can't win.
No.
You cannot
you
win.
You
because if you make it like Star Warsy and please the fans, everyone goes, it's a rehash. All you did was throw in stuff from the other movie. You had no plot. What in the world? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but people don't. Here's the thing, and this is kind of what I wanted to get into with the storyline and stuff. I'm talking about the actual plot.
Yeah.
Is that I think there's I've heard a lot of reviews, and I think the thing that bugs me is all the people. Not that there are no plot holes. Every movie has plot, but I'm saying
there's definitely plot holes in
people
this.
pick up and say there's so many plot holes, and yet I listened to a guy say like literally list 4 plot holes that were not plot holes. He just doesn't understand that it's part of a trilogy and the story's been told. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So what were the plot holes?
I can't even remember some of them because they weren't plot holes. That was my point. Like, he's bringing up parts in the story, and I'm what are you talking about?
There was more plot. There was more questions. I should say. I wouldn't say plot holes.
Yeah.
I would say there were well, I guess it kind of is a plot hole at the end.
So go like what? So what's
okay? First one. How did Palpatine fucking survive? Like, there's nothing specific.
Again, that's not a plot hole.
I know it's a question.
Yeah, all right.
I'm saying, but like a plot. But that's what people are gonna say is a plot hole. They're gonna be like, "Oh, Palpatine, how the fuck did he survive and then comes back?"
It's a dumb point. Especially people who like the original trilogy because nothing was explained and no one had any problem with it. And now when Snoke disappears and in the Last Jedi, completely misused. We don't even know who he is, and that was like a huge critique. It's like, we don't know who anyone is in the original trilogy, and everyone loves it and just accepts it because it's part of the story.
I forgot. I was texting with Sully, and actually, I can't even say it on the podcast. Never mind. But he compared Snoke to his favorite football team.
Oh, the Redskins.
No, Oklahoma.
Oh,
the Bats. But that's why it was making me chuckle. But like Snoke, like. But there, you kind of get a glimpse at like why Snoke is what he is. He was a puppet.
He was Palpatine. He was
pretty much.
Again, what do they say? It's a throwaway line, but Dominic Monaghan's character says like, "Oh, some kind of cloning dark magic." He says something like that, and it's basically again, anyone who's like. Super, unless you're like an Uber fan, and in that case, like you're gonna get it explained. It's gonna come out in books and stuff. So relax. You can't to have a movie work. They can't spend 1 hour of the movie explaining how Palpatine survived.
I will give this.
So you're gonna find out. It's a thing that you have to accept in the movie. He's uber powerful, Sith magic, cloning, a mix of everything, and he tells you he was Snoke. He answers so many questions in that one line where he says, "I was every voice in your head." Because one of the biggest things that didn't make sense to me, I haven't said it very often, but like when I first saw it in The Force Awakens, it didn't like, I was like, okay, I accepted it, and I went with this is what happens when you go with the storytelling and just let it finish. A lot of these things answer themselves, right?
Yeah.
But like I was kind of always like, why is Vader talking to Kylo and giving him like telling him to go to the dark side, right? Like Anakin
initially you thought it was because he's related and all that, right?
No, I ended up thinking it was something weird with like the whole thing they brought in the comics where like Sith can
like he doesn't recognize because Sith can
spirits in objects. But again, it doesn't. To me, it never made complete sense because again, Vader, if that was Vader's spirit who's talking to him. Vader's spirit turned good and actually became a Force ghost.
Yeah.
And for all we know in canon, there's no like split. Like Vader was Anakin. Okay, they were the same person, and at the end he went light and became a Force ghost. So there's no Sith. Vader spirit.
Side note: I started reading I just finished the Darth Maul comics. Now I'm reading the Darth Vader one. So definitely do some.
Yeah. So the Momin thing is what I'm talking about. Possesses is the word I'm looking for. But anyways,
I know about that.
So. Even as simple as that is, that answers the whole question. It was never Vader. It was never Anakin. It was never Snoke. It was Palpatine was pulling the strings the whole time.
Right.
Which is cool. Do I think they wrote that? That would be my one criticism of this trilogy overall, is I think instead of doing it the way they did it, they should have had like a storyline
Yeah.
And then the director could do their thing on the storyline. I think it was kind of made up as they went. Ended nicely for me.
Yeah.
Like that through line, but I don't think that JJ planned A to B. So I think he went, "Oh shit, I can solve that problem with this line," which is super creative, but it doesn't make me feel great about like what happened. Right. You know what I mean?
So overall, so that's why I've been saying. Then I texted you that I said I think this is where The Last Jedi plays this role. I think it helped this movie because it gave us this movie. Obviously, JJ had to, change it up. I also think it hurt it because from the very beginning of this movie, like right away, you hear this weird broadcast, and all of a sudden, Palpatine. 5 minutes in, Palpatine's alive. Like there's nothing in canon at that point that's really pointing that way. Like obvious canon that's pointing that way to like where all of a sudden it's like, oh, Palpatine's back. Like that build up of holy fucking shit. How the fuck did he survive? Like that whole shock. I didn't have that. I was kind of just like
it was shocking because I think
it was rushed. Unfortunately, that's what I want to say. I think it was rushed. I don't want to say it was forced. It was kind of forced.
I think they didn't have enough time to do the thing. I think the point of it was that Palpatine did. The only thing I'm saying is after watching it and then taking it in, because I felt the same way. As soon as the scroll railed and the dead speak, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like I thought we were gonna learn about Palpatine in the first act, and it's just like, boom. He's there.
He's right there. And it's like,
but I think it put you in the same mindset that the galaxy is in when the movie starts. Is that there was no warning. No one thought Palpatine was alive.
Yeah.
There were no clues. There were no nothing. It was just like all of a sudden a broadcast goes to the entire universe. Palpatine's back and we're coming for you. So like it gave you the shock that like the unit, like holy shit, like the Resistance, Kylo even is probably like, who the fuck? You know what I mean? Like that. So I think. In a way, it can be. I'm just saying, there's always like a side of it that. So I got smacked in the face with that, right? And I was like, whoa. But then it kind of like it almost makes the first quick Kylo jump part feel like it fits because it is like you're like, what in the world, Palpatine? And Kylo's kind of acting like that. Yeah. He's like, Palpatine, give me that thing. I'm gonna go kill him. Yeah. Like so, it to me it like. I think they did it because they had to, and it was rushed because they didn't have time to explain it. Right. But I think they executed it well with that lining up with Kylo's manicness.
I think the execution was great. I'm just saying that I think because of what I think this is why The Last Jedi, this is part of why it hurt this movie was because of the time that you had no, we said, there was literally nothing until that scroll. And then all of a sudden you're like,
I think that's what happened. I do think, agreeing with you that, and to my point about there was no through line, is that say this is exactly how you wanted to do it, and you did want Palpatine to pop up. No, sir. It's not like someone found out about it. He says, "I'm back," right? Yeah. Like if that's how you wanted to do it, I think if there was a through line, what you would have seen is maybe the last scene of Last Jedi. Is like multiple shots of people getting the broadcast of him saying like I'm back and then sick. Ended and you're like wait 2 years for like what the fuck you know what I mean that right but if there's a through line don't you think that would have happened because that would have made a lot more sense so I think like you're saying they didn't know they were going to do that until JJ took over and then went hey let's do this
so I wonder if that was part of his original plan though too.
I think they said that the original plan was always Palpatine was behind everything.
Yeah.
So I think they knew that. I do. But that also just could be bullshit. Like maybe they didn't and they went, hey, that's a good idea. I mean, I did my 3 guesses over time since The Force Awakens was that Rey was Kenobi, Palpatine, and a clone. Those are my top 3. I wanted Kenobi so badly, but I think the Palpatine thing worked more.
Yeah.
And most recently, my guess was clone because of the Last Jedi cave scene, which now makes no sense to me. But regardless,
yeah, it really does actually.
But yeah, that's so I think so. To your point, you're saying it hurts and helps.
I think it hurts. Yeah, because
the Last Jedi.
so the people are like forced, so they're like saying, "Oh, this is all fucking rushed." You have to realize, so from a critic standpoint, or just from like a director standpoint, Last Jedi, from a fan standpoint, was one of the worst Star Wars movies. If not, some people, I mean, me included, I thought it wasn't my favorite. It was probably
overall ranked wise, it definitely was. Yeah,
bottom.
Yep.
So now you have to take that. You have to completely change things. He didn't necessarily rewrite things. Like, he didn't like retcon everything, which was good. He kind of kept some of the stuff.
That's the word that in one of the reviews I don't like that word.
What?
Because that's not what happened. And
I know.
I will defend it. No, that's what I'm saying. But some people are like, he just retconned it.
No, he didn't.
Retconning is completely changing
it would have been a completely different story.
He did actually a good job, I think, writing it into their arcs.
Yeah.
Actually, the person who got his arc completed the best, to me, was Luke. The Rise of Skywalker writing really made, when you watch it as a whole and don't judge it to the end, as much as I know you hate it, and I now that the series is over, I do think I like the Luke from Legends better with the New Jedi Order, but it's not what we got, so fine. But now, how he finished it with Luke catching the lightsaber and being there at the end with Rey, right? He completed that arc where now the Last Jedi Luke makes a lot of sense. Minus the toss, I just didn't feel like was Luke's character.
I see.
But in terms of like Luke's arc, he brought back and he makes the Last Jedi Luke make sense, and his sacrifice makes sense, and how, because people were like, oh, he catches the lightsaber, that's a smack in the face to Rian Johnson's thing of him throwing the lightsaber over. It's like, no, when he throws that lightsaber over his shoulder, as much as I don't like the way it was done, like the jokiness
of
it,
persona of it,
it matches so well when you start to take a look at it, of him throwing his lightsaber away in Return of the Jedi, because he refused to kill Vader and Palpatine. Remember that? And he tosses it away. It mirrors that. And then when he catches it in this movie, it's because he's come full circle. He's seen that he was wrong to doubt the Jedi and doubt the ways and try to hide. And he so his character comes full circle, and it's really well done. That's why, like, this whole thing, like, you'll hear people say, like, Luke catching that lightsaber was an absolute diss to Rian Johnson, and it was a retcon and I was like, what? That is...
When I watched
that,
I didn't
looks at the story. They just go
I didn't think that.
Yeah, I didn't think that either. I'm saying after
I was just like, oh, he catches it. Like, I was like, oh, it was actually a really good scene.
Yeah,
like
I thought his character arc, I liked that, but the catch I didn't notice as like.
But again, that
him doing opposite. Yeah,
but it was a little bit rushed. I think that whole. I'm saying overall, the movie, you felt like it was a little bit rushed.
I didn't, but I get what people say.
I did. Yeah, I felt like things were just like. It was fine action-wise. Like, it was just like, it felt like things were moving forward very quick. And even like that scene, I thought like it was very, just very, very quick in terms of time and stuff.
I think I liked that because The Last Jedi to me was so slow.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, but, I feel like I'm such a force, like I said, such a force nut. And like Oct 2 I was looking forward to so much. And just, it's like... As much as I like the movie, and I'm not like a big hater of it, the Oct 2 stuff for a rewatch is the most boring stuff in Star Wars. It really is. It's like worse than the Anakin Padme stuff. Yeah. Like, because nothing happens. Literally nothing happens.
Padme is nice to look
Luke
at.
basically kind of changes his mind, which he should have been able to change his mind in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Doesn't really teach Rey anything.
No.
She like reaches out and lifts rocks and ends up going into the cave and doing this weird thing. And then she leaves.
Yeah.
And then he just force projects. Like, nothing happens the whole time. And that should have been like the Yoda and Dagobah, like the flips and the whole, you know what I mean? Like, it just...
You see more of her training today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that one scene was more training.
You know what's another cool scene? When Luke talks about Leia with the lightsaber.
Yeah, that was neat.
That was awesome.
Them doing the training or whatever.
That was awesome. That was like, everyone's been speculative about that, or like, Leia's like, she's obviously force sensitive, but she's never used it or anything. There you go.
My one thing with that, and that
was a Legends thing, I think, kind of too. That was
she trained in Legends. The one thing with that is, I want to go back, not to be like a dick about it, but does she ever say anything about her training in Bloodline?
No.
because she would have been trained at that point. And that's the only thing that I wonder if there's a weird continuity issue where anything in that book comes up where she suggests that she wasn't trained. You know what I mean?
I don't think she ever mentions.
There's something about someone asked her about the Force, like, kind of thing in the book. I remember, but I don't remember her answer.
She mentions that she decided to
stop training or something, or
no. So thank God I read this recently. So she mentions that rather than using the Force for being a Jedi, she much rather, because she was raised politically in a political family, she rather use her powers in that. She never says she was never trained.
Right.
She never says it though. She never says anything like that.
I know. But that is a weird one. Those are those weird ones where they I don't even think they even considered that. It may fit, and it sounds like it fits, but I don't think they went back and went, "Hey, in Bloodline, did she ever say she didn't train?" Because that would have been not right before that, but it would have happened before that because she didn't have.
But the context that she's talking about it, why would she bring that up? Because so the overarching
because
thing,
if she's talking about the Force and someone was asking her about her training, she would have gone, "Yeah, I stopped training."
What's the big thing in that book? They find out that she's the daughter of Vader.
I understand. I'm not saying it's a.
Imagine
those little things I think are not planned.
Imagine if she says, "Oh, I got trained let's just say I got trained as a Jedi." And then they find out she's Vader's daughter, and what's going to happen?
I understand. I'm just saying that.
Okay.
That's how I knew Rey wasn't a Solo. That everyone kept literally to the day that this came out, people still thought she was a Solo. I was like, if you read Bloodline, it proves she's not a Solo because Leia talks about having a kid, one time, so she can't. Well, I should say this. I always say it doesn't mean she's not a Solo. Could have been Han's illegitimate child. That's fine, but she was not.
Well, she
wasn't Leia's daughter.
Han and
Kira.
Yeah. I mean,
that
was a plausible theory.
I accepted that. She wasn't Leia's daughter,
right.
And we knew that. And people still were like, "No, it could happen." It's like, no, you don't understand. In canon, they've said
so it comes full circle. There's Ben Solo and Rey Solo kiss at the end, and this whole trilogy is about incest, apparently.
It was cool the two lights of that scene with the two lightsabers. That was
I just watch it. His character in that movie was hands down my favorite.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Awesome.
I can't wait to watch it
start to finish. His progression all the way to the end where he's going to save Rey. Good. Oh my God, that was awesome.
The best actor in this entire series.
100%.
I didn't notice it because I was so enthralled with the action, and I can't wait to try to zoom in on it today. But someone made the mention of how, probably because I just felt it and experienced it, but they said that basically if you go back and watch him, even in this movie, especially if you go back and watch the other ones when he's Kylo, his whole entire fighting stance and fighting style changes when he goes back to Ben.
No, it does.
Yeah, in that he stands up taller.
Yeah,
it's he's not hunched and lurking. It's he's free.
You'll catch it when he gets the lightsaber and he's just
I noticed that.
And
the
he's
chuckle of
you're fucked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes, this is awesome. I will say a disappointment of mine, it'll probably get fleshed out in the comics and stuff though, is Knights of Ren. Yeah, that is a big disappointment.
I would be willing to bet from the scenes that we saw, there are cut scenes of them taking Chewie, more fighting scenes, because really you want to talk about it a complaint of again, not a big deal, but they're on, what is it, Pasan, the forbidden deserts of Pasan, and they show up and they're on the rock with this unbelievable thing, and they legitimately aren't seen it. Well, they're seen behind Chewie, but they don't do anything. No, none of them do anything.
They do
I was just give me a fight.
Well, if you read the comics, they're fucking amazing.
Yeah, the one comic we read.
There's one guy that I'm holy fucking shit. I would never want to
And they, to be honest, they're in the one. I know they had to get to the point or whatever, but they beat the crap out of Ben Solo before he gets a lightsaber. Oh yeah. If he didn't have a lightsaber, he's effed. I mean, it is 6 on 1. I'm kind of surprised
they didn't kill him, because a couple of them had blades, and I was like, how is he?
Yeah, it's always the bad guy thing in movies. Let's draw it out.
Yeah, and then, I don't see it. That part, yeah, but his character Ben Solo. I'm just gonna say Ben Solo, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I think he is Ben Solo.
Everything, just Yeah, I like when he was running back towards where Palpatine was. I was like, yes, he's about to fucking do it. Yes,
now, did you understand the healing thing? Some people didn't quite get that.
So
it was very obvious to me. That's the only, I don't,
the Force healing. So what I read,
like with him at the end, some people didn't completely understand why he or like didn't.
He
didn't
his
hit his heart.
Force back to her.
Right.
So it's
But that was obvious to you. Like you got that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I knew.
Sure. Like I didn't know if that was confusing. Yeah. Like as he like the only thing that threw me off for 1 second is after they kissed, he did the chuckle, and I was like, oh, they're gonna keep him alive.
Well, that's what I thought.
Because once they like he did it and kissed her, I'm like, he's dead, he's gone.
Yeah.
And then he chuckled, and I was like, is he not gone? Wow. And then he.
These guys.
I know.
God, brutal. Yeah. So like what was I gonna say? Yeah, I knew right when he gave her a hug, I was like, all right, he's giving his life force. There's no, like, there was rumors. Okay, so let's talk about that Praxis shit that came out.
Oh, so I didn't reread it. Was it dead on?
A lot of it was.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did like run over was like, Ben Solo dies in the film, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know if that's true or not, so like I took it with a grain of salt. That said, I kind of went into this movie thinking he's gonna redeem himself somehow. I think he's gonna redeem himself, and if he does, he's probably gonna sacrifice himself. So like up to that point, like when he fell down that hole, I was like, oh shit, he might be dead. He might be.
I did consider that, and I was like, oh.
I was like, that's a terrible way to go out. Yeah. But like, what was I gonna say? Pause it for a second.
It is what it is at this point.
Oh, all right. Well, but like, what was I saying? I kind of just expected him to go out, and when it got to the point when he hugged Rey, I was like, this is it. He's gone. He's gone. The Force healing thing, everyone's like, how did the Jedi get a Force healing? Like, all this shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So, if you want, like, a scene that she learns it, she reads fucking Jedi texts. She could have learned it from that. She could have learned it from something else.
This thing is so annoying.
What the fuck?
Because, like,
that's one of my biggest issues.
The Force powers are, like, not everyone gets every Force. Do people not understand this? Like, it's pretty clear throughout the whole thing that, like, there are Force powers that something, like, it's even been made interesting that there are some Force powers that, like, it doesn't matter how powerful you are, some just can't do it. Like in other words, the thing that Quinlan Voss has, that the kid in Fallen Order has, that the Force Collector kid has. There's this talent that's like when you touch an item, you can kind of see that item's history and Force go through, right? Like, and see these things. That's not, they've brought some of these up where, like, they've never said that Yoda can do that. As powerful as he is. Like, it's not like a, it's not like just like a class where, like, the better you are, you learn everything. It's not a skill tree that you just, at the end of your, like, training, you can do everything. It's like some you're more predisposed to some things, and some... All right, sorry. We had a little interruption there. But yes, I'm, like, again, I just want to preface this by, because, like, some channels annoy me with, like, speaking in absolutes, like, it's written, like, there's not a ton, like, guaranteed about the Force. It's open-ended. But they make certain powers seem kind of like a thing that, like, not everyone can just get. Even if you're ultimately powerful, you don't just get Force healing. Like, you have to, even if it's a thing that even if the Force is a thing that you could get anything, in other words, some things will be harder for you. You'll be naturally predisposed to them. So, I'm just taking it, to simplify the healing thing, I'm taking it very much like that power where you can touch items and see it, where it's like a rare thing, because all we've seen is the Baby Yoda. That's when it first came out. That's the big Mandalorian tie-in. And now Rey. Okay? Those are the only two times we've seen it. They have mentioned I believe in canon, there are Jedi healers. So it's probably something like this. It's probably a very specific talent. But what they're getting at here is that Rey is uber powerful and Ben is uber powerful. We're talking about this dyad in the Force. They are like they are the best, like, starting position of Force power that you can get. Like, they're just naturally unbelievable. So this whole Force healing thing is like a big deal. This is like a big power, like the Force lightning almost. Like, not everybody can do Force lightning. That's like a huge high-end Sith thing. Kylo couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and he's pretty damn high-end. So, like...
Rey just accidentally did it.
Right, and even if you argue Snoke could do it, Snoke's Palpatine. So, like, we've basically seen Palpatine and Dooku do it.
Yeah.
So, it's high-end Sith. So, like, I would take the healing thing as almost that's... And Rey, yeah. So, she's a freak. She can do everything. But, so, when that happens, the people saying, like, oh, we've never seen that happen. How can that... Like, it's made pretty clear in the thing, like, in the movie... that it can happen. That's the reason for the snake scene. I know people, well, it's forced just to show you she can do it. Okay, that's how movies work. You do a scene you do a scene to show it. It made sense. It didn't, was that scene like completely out of place? They felt, I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's what people complain about.
It felt like Star Wars.
Right.
That's all
so she heals him to show you that.
Yeah.
Then that's set up by healing Ben. And she even says about the snake, I had to give some of my force power. So one can assume that if you're going to bring someone back from the dead, that that's probably not, it's barely possible. Like you have to have all of your energy to do it. Yeah. Kind of like Luke force projecting, right? Yeah. It killed him is basically what happened. Yeah. So there are these force powers that are like, sure, you can do it, but like, that's it. Like that's everything you have. So that's why the sacrifice makes sense. I don't think it's cheesy. Ben gave his all. I think it says a lot about Ben. He knows he's gonna die. You know what I mean? Like he goes into it knowing that. So the people complain. It's like, God damn, like, dude, the Force is like, you're gonna complain about that and not that she can transport a lightsaber through. Like, if anything, and I'm cool with it, but that's way weirder than Force healing.
Who's ever done that?
Nobody.
So like,
and it doesn't even completely make sense.
No,
they're fighting. And like when she's on the Star Destroyer in his room and he's down on the planet and they're fighting, stuff can get affected by his light. So like if she just gets hit by his lightsaber, would she die? Like is he there? But he can't tell he's there until he hits the. It's just like it's weird. I'm cool with it. I'm just saying if you're gonna complain about one, force healing makes a lot more sense than whatever the fuck that is. Like you know what I mean?
But and we get that for in all three movies too. And you're just like, what the fuck?
I mean. Yes, that's why I'm okay with it. They did explain it, and it advances, and it slowly gets there. So it is logical in how they laid it out. It's just confusing. It's like, I don't even understand exactly what's happening. And maybe that's the point. You're not supposed to. That's why it's a weird one. So my final thought, the one thing I wanted to get to, like my big theory of what I picked up on and I really liked was it ended with when Leia's body and Ben's disappear.
Yep.
And how I read that, and it's a little bit convoluted, I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible, is that it legitimately is the Skywalkers as a whole, because there were 4. Anakin, Luke, Leia, Ben. Only Skywalkers, all gone now.
Yep.
Palpatine, we know that Palpatine basically fucked with the Force, with Plagueis kind of, and created Anakin.
Yep.
He thought he created Anakin, or was trying to, as like the ultimate Sith. Jedi took it as, not that they knew he did that, but they took Anakin as the chosen one.
Yeah.
I think it's now the through line. It doesn't take away from Anakin. Everybody's saying Anakin's story's ruined. Just then don't watch them, okay? Like, but it makes this fascinating through line of Palpatine fucked with the Force, thinking he was ultimately powerful, and he creates the Skywalkers. The Skywalkers live and die only to kill Palpatine. Basically, in the end, it took 3 generations, but Anakin fell, maybe he could have been the one, fell, gets Palpatine there, he kind of kills Palpatine the first time, right? Like, sends him into, like, whatever he ended up being, this Sith god thing that can come back, all for his grandson to kill Palpatine, and kind of, like, the cool icing on the cake was really the one who did it and helped Ben get it through. Was his granddaughter. So, like, it was all, to me, it's this fascinating thing, and that's why I thought it was really neat that they both disappeared, because it was kind of, to me, like, this whole thing that the Skywalkers weren't even, like, humans. They were literally, like, an entity of the Force, entered into this story to save the universe from Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it just is one, if you look at it as one complete through line, right?
Now,
and it
does leave a few questions, though.
Well, but simply put,
yeah.
I mean, you can ask a million questions. Yeah. In like the little intricacies of how it works. But to me, like on a whole, that's what struck me about the storyline. It basically said Palpatine was the puppet master. He was this ultimate bad even before we started the prequel number one. And right. And he basically created his downfall. He created this thing that was a Skywalker that ended up taking 3 generations, which ultimately was his downfall. And the extra little jab in the side was, oh yeah, it was also your granddaughter. Yeah. Like, that's what ended up killing you, which is awesome. I think that is higher level, is what JJ did and put together. So cool.
Yep. I'm not going to give another theory because I
guess it's not a theory. It's just how I saw
the storyline. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot with the Chosen One shit. Like, people were saying, like, they fucked it up. Like, no, they didn't fuck it up. You got to look at it from a bigger picture. Right. So my questions, or some common questions that are going on, I'll just list them out. And we're going to go into more detail in future videos and stuff.
We can do like a theory each week almost, or answer a question on the podcast.
So how did Palpatine survive the Death Star?
Yep.
There's a lot of speculative shit on that. We weren't given a direct answer.
Mm-hmm.
B, I don't want to say the Snoke stuff, but there still is some stuff like how that all played out.
There's a lot of cloning stuff.
Yes, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered there. C, Rey's parents. How did Palpatine?
Who was Palpatine's baby mama?
Yeah, pretty much. How did that happen? Yeah. So now you got that question now, which is out there, which I'm fine with. And then 4, who are all the fucking people in that arena? There's nothing.
I took them kind of as like Force, like the souls of the Sith kind of.
You think
thing.
so?
Yeah, I don't. They may explain.
I mean, there's no answer.
The way that I kind of read into it was that they weren't really there.
It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, no, I know that. Well, they were the guards that actually she fought at the end. But in terms of like the sea of hoods and stuff, I kind of took that as one of two things. Either they were all like acolytes, almost like the acolytes of the Beyond, that were actually don't really have any power, but were sitting there because they were just obsessed, just followers, like blind followers that, you know what I mean, of the masses just supporting the Sith, which maybe that's what the acolytes of the Beyond become. That'd be kind of neat. Or I also kind of took it as like they weren't really, they're just spirits. They're kind of like all of the Sith. Like he says he's all of the Sith, so it's kind of like a projection. Kind of like when she goes and the Jedi are there saying like, you heard a bunch of voices like, you can do, we're behind you, like that. I just took it as like the yin and the yang of that. You know what I mean? Like, but the way I would say that they may have been real is at the end when they like blows up, they do show a lot of the rocks hitting, so they did feel real. So maybe they're just acolytes of the Beyond.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, it's not answered. So
that's kind of a throwback to
the books. That'd be cool if that's
to
what
the books and Knights of the Old Republic too.
I will say we'll get into a bunch. I'm getting the visual dictionary, which I never thought were big deals, but like I've already seen some stuff come up about it. There's a ton of extra information. Actually, it answers one. Doesn't answer one of your questions, but like the Red Troopers have some kind of flash cloning thing done to them. They're individuals, but
there's more to it.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to get. We don't have time to get into that, but I'm saying that is going to be. There's obviously this technology that's moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's actually more behind the Sith Troopers as well.
Yeah.
The Legion names too, which is cool.
I think we should
really
get.
Cool. Yeah,
there's a ton that we can get into.
Yeah, we're out of time, but thank you guys for joining us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be putting out more videos on the Rise of Skywalker and different features. We're getting into the comics more. We got a lot of book reviews coming up.
Yeah, comment on some of this stuff. Anything you had questions about in the movie, because I think we'll have recurring stuff that we'll be answering and breaking down as we go.
And I mean, I've been asked about questions about the comics. I just finished Darth Maul. I'm in Darth Vader right now, which is I love it.
Yeah.
So subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to any of our podcasting services. We're putting out weekly podcasts, so like
really
I said,
just the beginning of
our
channel.
I mean, we have Rise of Skywalker just came out. There's going to be a ton of stuff more coming right after that.
It opens up the new canon, like we were talking about. Like now, so much of the canon has been kind of hamstrung because you can't answer any of the questions until this movie came out. Now that this is out, it's wide open. I think we may get some cool games. The comics and the books are going to go everywhere. I hope, because now they can.
And there's some throwbacks too, which
the Thrawn thing, but the Thrawn thing can now happen. Like there's no limits. Like let's go, let's get it.
Yep, the Thrawn thing, and and even farther back, there's Knights of World public stuff.
That was always on the table, which I love. Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks again, Podawans, for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.
Later.